Good morning. We got 6 minutes till market open. I kind of see a possible setup here right this minute, but being that we're this close to the opening bell, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to wait. If you've been following me, you'll notice that I've changed this chart setup this morning. I'm trying a different time frame here. Change this to a 1 minute time frame. I've cleaned up some of the indicators. Over on this chart, I added the B4 down here. I bumped this one up to a 5 minute, and on both of these charts I've changed the candle type to Heikin-Ashi, and then the Ichimoku chart, the only thing I've done with it is just change it to 5 minutes also. So I'm watching the difference between slightly longer time period versus the 1 minute really short period. And I set up my my DOM here with a standard order. Real simple, just to take profit and a stop loss. 8 ticks on a stop loss, or excuse me, 8 ticks on profit, 12 on the stop loss, and I'm still playing with that a little bit. Yeah, see, this is the setup I was looking at. I was pretty sure we're going to get down here to this one standard deviation band and reverse. Market's been in, you can see, in an uptrend here for the last couple hours or so. So that's where I'm at. So been playing with a few different things. And we got 3 minutes, and I need coffee, so I'm gonna run and get a cup of coffee. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back just as the bell rings here. And yeah, take a look. Up we go. That's what I suspected was going to happen. The other thing I did was I changed from ES, or from MES rather, to ES. Um, the reason is trying to, with MES you don't have a choice because it's small. You have to catch the whole part of these big moves. And I kept getting, where I'd be doing well and get up to here and then it'd reverse on me and I end up turning a winner into a loser. That's why this morning I started thinking about that and I went, well, if I go to ES, then to reach my daily goal, which is fairly conservative, I only need a couple of points. And I've been fairly successful at grabbing just a few points. Had I done it, we'd have it right here. So. But I want to give the market 10 minutes to settle out this morning. There was, yesterday was a big day. Lots of moves up and down. And it continued overnight. Continued falling. And it kind of looks like it wants to head back to where we started, back into 45.40, 45.50 area, I think. We'll see. This price point is a little bit tougher to trade too. 4,500 round numbers can be support or resistance, and when you're right at that point, you're never sure which one it's gonna decide on. So we've been under it and over it all morning. So 45.11 is the cog line, center of gravity line. Also, we're at pull this other chart up. We're right at the point of control on the volume profile. But and the guppy chart is showing that we've reversed here this morning, going up, but it's not a complete upward trend yet. If I back out of this, take a longer view, to where you would be seeing an upward trend like this. So it looks like we may be headed back into that, but we're not there yet. So that all amounts to, I'm trying to be a little bit cautious here. See the bands are expanding. It's also interesting to watch the difference between the two B4 signals. What's going on with them? So the longer term is still showing bearish. Shorter term is maybe just turning bearish. So. Back under 4,500. That fast, 10-point swing. And we're under one standard deviation at the moment. Heading back to VWAP. Okay.
Minor resistance came back down and closed the gap. Now we've got this slight move to the downside.
What you're hearing is from the Bullish Bears site. Signet is presenting in the live trade room, the large caps room. So I thought I'd turn him on and see what he's got to say this morning.
Positive issues, weak market conditions. We need to see that turn around. Looking at the market breadth this morning, we're in accumulation. We're above the zero line.
Yeah, that's what I did
for the moment. But it just started, so we got to kind of give it a little bit of time to shake out.
Damn it.
Check the NASDAQ 100. We're at a 50-50 in the NASDAQ.
Sometimes.
But we've still got more money coming in than going out. Not much. I mean, it's really close. So the NASDAQ is sitting on the 50-50 line, right? It could go either way at the moment. It's poised like standing a penny up on its edge. This thing could go either way. So there's no edge.
Yeah, so
yet,
we got
right? We wouldn't
68% of the S&P 100
we don't want a zero day yet because this thing really isn't giving us any.
And about a 2-to-1 money flow.
It's not giving us any guidance.
So that's a pretty bullish sign. Before here has gone into a neutral, caution, whatever you want to call it.
All right, the financials are coming in a little.
The
We
cheaper
definitely
line
need those
here
financials
is
back in
starting
play.
to get into
Energy's
price.
been the
That's
trade
a
lately,
bit of a warning
and I
sign
kind of
too.
pointed this out. If you put on linear regression, go on to a yearly chart, put on a linear regression.
So we've got a, let's mark out an opening range here.
You can see that we're really overextended. Swing high, swing low, and then again swing high, swing low, and then again. Well, we got our swing high.
What an ugly color that is.
We're either looking for the swing low, or at least
What an ugly color.
for this market to pause, quit making those advances, and let the indicator
That's
get
better.
caught up, right? Because that's the other way that linear regression could move closer to price, is if price just stays right there, stays sideways. Every day this line's going to start getting a little closer to the current price action.
That's good enough for now.
We had a red to green. So yesterday was a red day, and we gapped up this morning in the pre-market. Our target in energy would be back up to yesterday's high
I
at
still
least.
don't like that color. Let's see if we can't do better.
Same thing with communications. Red to green, only no gap.
Let's try that. Yeah, that's a little better. That's a little better.
Just a really nasty market out there. So we need to see these things turn around, or we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see a trade at the moment. Not,
The bonds are
not one I
flat.
consider safe.
The dollar's starting to make a move.
VIX is up just a little bit.
All right, so on the S&P, we got our 5-minute open range. And we're kind of threatening the bottom of this thing.
Yeah.
We reject
Okay,
on the
so
highest
that's
point of the
pretty
Globex.
much what the whole market looks like.
And now we're down on the bottom of the last pivot. And we've already tested it once, so there's no more liquidity there. Very likely if we retest that, we're going to break through it. We'll start making our move to the downside.
Talking about the
So we got a clearly
44.95
defined
area.
range.
That's what he's marking out on his chart. Right down
Now we just
here.
got to let things shake out a little bit. This is the advancing versus, not even versus, this is just the advancing issues in the NASDAQ. It's being able to answer a question like, well, how many companies in the NASDAQ are advancing right now? How many are going up? When we opened up this morning, we had 72 companies moving up. Then we got close to 80 companies, and it began to dump. We're trying to stabilize here, and we're below the 50%. So less than half of all of the companies in the NASDAQ 100 are going up. If we look at the S&P 500, you can see that we got a little unstable, but we're starting to get a bit of a rally in there. A lot of companies are coming back around. So we want to keep our eye on the sectors, kind of get an idea of where these companies are at. What industry are they in? What sector? What's hot and what's moving? Kind of the easiest way to do that is just go back to the Visualize tab, because you can see 100 names in here a lot easier than you can trying to hunt down 100 names in a watch list or in a grid.
This blue line
So
here,
82 now, 82
that's,
out of 100 are
Globex
advancing.
high.
The money flow is 2-to-1, so we're looking
That's
really
from
bullish, really positive.
an automatic indicator
money
that
flow.
I've got plots that for me, and we just broke through that. That's good. Head it up here maybe.
So far, it's looking pretty good.
Yep, I think so.
Let's mark out some danger zones here. So all these pivot points are going to be areas of concern. They're just minor pivots. They don't have a lot of validity to them. It's not like one of our institutional pivot points. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low, yesterday's close. It's none of those.
Let's see if we can come back down there and bounce.
You can see the market breadth is really strong.
It might be a little bit too
Now we
low
do
here
got
to catch
consumer
this.
sentiment in like 15 minutes. We get past that and we're good, right? We don't have anything else on the docket for the rest of the day after that. Now, if we were trading in something like SPY, we could just market order with an option and jump right into this thing. But the SPX, the bid ask is too wide for that. If you market order in with the SPX, you're going to be down, anywhere from $35 to $60 as soon as you open the trade. You're already in the hole that much. And that's if you've got a reasonable bid ask spread. If you're buying calls, don't use the 0-day. It's a really bad idea. And if you're wanting to do something like a 0-day credit spread, as close to the money as you can go would be a good way to do it, right? Something like $10 wide, straddling price, or being very close to the middle of price. That way your break even is as close to our current location as possible, and your expectation is that we would continue to move farther away from that break even.
Come on. Okay, we just got filled.
Order
We just
filled.
need it to head back up. Just a little bit. And
Order filled.
The NASDAQ advancing
And we
issues
just
turned
made some
around.
money.
We're back into the 80s.
So,
Let's bring those up so we can see
that
them.
quick. That quick we made how much? How much?
All right, 82% of the NASDAQ, 82% of the S&P, 93% of the Dow, and only 60% of the Russell. But still, that's really good.
72,
Right, so most of the market breadth
78.
is advancing. We just need to catch that pullback opportunity. The bad thing about waiting for pullbacks in a move like this, that was a high momentum breakout.
So that
we
my
don't
average up a
expect
little bit
pullbacks
for
in a high
today.
momentum breakout.
Some of the reason it's a little
Right,
low
so
is because I was playing
in
around
that area right there, we wouldn't
trying
have
to get the
expected
brackets
any kind of
working.
pullback
And,
because that was a compression breakout. Then we got through this top level, then we could have been perhaps expecting some form of pullback. It's the SPX, so we can't turn on any volume indicators. VWAP,
so anyway,
you know, none of that stuff
now you've
works
seen
because
my
there is
idea
no
of
shares.
how to grab
in
a
the
quick
SPX.
$100 over and over.
So the SPX has a cleaner chart. It's easier to read a lot of times, but
Instead
if you're
of,
wanting to use volume tools, you're kind of
you know,
SOL
what I've
because
been
there is
doing
no
in the
volume.
past, trying to catch these whole moves. You know, because I was partly afraid of just doing ES, because you can lose a lot of money really quick too. But I think I got to bite the bullet on that one and just kind of change my outlook a little bit. Take little bites. So yeah, it's pulling back some already. So what we just did. Take that quick scalp. So I got to keep practicing with that. Make sure that it's working well, and if it does, then
All right, we got our
this
5
account
minute open range.
I'm running it in demo mode.
We got our
still.
first breakout. We're looking for
I'll have to
a
put some
Busby.
more money into this account to be able to trade ES. I don't have enough in it.
We want to see price come
do that
down,
at the moment.
find
So.
support on the top of that resistance, and then make
Or I
its
can
move
trade
back
it right
up.
here
Now, remember, the
in
Busby
Thinkorswim
only
in this
owes
account.
you back
This
to the
account's
top,
got a lot of money in
right?
it.
It doesn't owe you a trend.
But
So if this distance seems too small,
I don't.
You don't want to trade that.
particularly care
right? You don't
for
want to trade the bounce and the run back up.
Thinkorswim's commissions
Instead,
and
wait. Let the Busby
the
actually
amount of
come
buying power
through
that
and
they
prove,
demand to trade futures.
and then use that Busby for your signal to confirm that the trade is good.
They want a
And
lot
then
of
go
money. And their order entry system isn't as good as Tradeovate's here for doing this. It works.
See what's
but
moving
it's-
while we wait. All right, so in the list of most liquid products to trade,
it
we've
doesn't
only
work
got a
as
few
well.
that are in the red. The chip names turned around significantly. Let's see, even Amazon is down a little bit, which kind of sucks because I'm holding a long Amazon, but
So
you know, we'd go in and sell a call against it if we have to. So it's not too big of a deal. But earlier this morning when I was running the morning briefing, most of the chip names were up, and that seems to have turned around quite a bit. Looking for a 0-day opportunity, but nothing's looking good yet. So you take something like Apple. We don't want to do a 0-day here yet because it's underneath resistance, right? So we don't know if we can go long because we don't know if it's going to be able to make it through the top. We don't want to go short because it's basically sitting in the middle of this range. We got to wait for an opportunity. So there's no 0-day on a lot of names that we're looking at right now because they're all kind of sitting in the same chart setup. Let's see. Delta Airlines looks like it may be taking another run back towards the top. That 5-minute open range seems to have held. So there's a Busby on Delta Airlines.
all right.
Got some financials like Wells Fargo making significant
Let's do a
moves.
real money trade here.
They've made that break outside the open. They're still sitting in yesterday's range, but there's a lot of names on the high side of this list that are financials. Citigroup,
And we just
PayPal,
got
Wells
filled.
Fargo, American Express, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock. Your financials are on the run, guys.
this
I
is
mentioned
my
in the morning briefing, keep your eye on those financials
once or
with the
twice a
bonds
week,
and the dollar moving the way they
I'll
are.
sell,
That's
I'll
the
put
name of the game.
way out of the money.
When it
You know,
comes to open range,
I mean,
I've used all of them.
$2,500
1 hour,
or
30 minute,
$2,500 price
15 minute,
at a
5
1
minute,
delta
1
on
minute.
ES.
I've used them all, and I like them
I don't
all.
know if you probably didn't
So,
notice it, but
especially if you have a rule that says you won't trade in the first,
that's,
say,
max
15
profit
minutes,
is $337.50.
make your open range a 15 minute. You would be surprised
What
at
I
the
usually
results.
shoot for is 50% is where I'll close the trade.
You can even take time off the table
So
and use
about
something like
$175.
first pivot high.
I do this
first
trade
pivot low.
once or twice a
You can
week
do something like that too,
in different
They all
accounts.
right? They all work, which is kind of weird when you think about it.
And
Except it's not really too weird, because
It's a
if
pretty
it's a
safe
5 minute
trade,
open range breakout and it's
at least I
an
think.
upside
Just
breakout, and
what
you're
are the
waiting for a
odds of,
15 minute breakout, well, if the
of the
5
S&P
holds and we
going
break
down
out
to
and run all day to
2,500
the upside,
right now?
that 15 is going to tell you the
not
same
real
thing.
likely.
It just happened to come 15 minutes later.
So it usually takes about 30 days for it to mature to a profit level.
The really cool thing is now that you know that there
That's
is
one of
such a
my-
thing as an open range, 5,
My bread
15,
and butter
30,
trades
1
that I
hour,
do
you can
regularly.
go
It's a
back on the
mechanical
charts
trade.
and
There isn't
mark
a whole lot
out
of thinking about it.
15 minute time frames,
So
day
I
after
was
day,
doing it on
going back for
MES
months.
at a 10 or 15 delta.
and looking at how it would have worked.
That worked
Right, 'cause
real
the only
well
way you're ever
most
gonna
of the
trust
time
it,
for the last year or so.
Especially since I just gave you more than one answer. You'll
But,
never trust that 5 minute open range
The day after
until you go in and
Thanksgiving
do the
on
work
Black Friday
to
when
prove
the
it to
market
yourself
dropped,
that it works. So would a 15 minute
it
work?
hit my stop losses. I was
Crawl
running
back through the charts day after day after day after day after day, marking a 15
a
minute,
2x
and looking at the
stop
ones
loss,
that
3
did,
times credit
and then the
received,
ones that didn't.
which gives me a 200% loss. And I had
When it did
had a
work,
couple of
look
contracts
deeper.
hit that loss and go
Put
into
your
it.
moving averages on it, or
And
your
then, I did
indicators.
just
Maybe you're a
one
MACD
contract
guy
after
or
the
an
first of the
RSI
year.
guy. Put
I
those
shut
on.
the whole thing
Study
down
it, review it,
the end of
analyze
December.
it, think about
because I expected
what
the market was going to
economic
pull back.
events happened on that day that it worked versus when that it didn't. Were we at the bottom of a range
So I've
from
changed it
yesterday?
now to
Were we at the top? Did we start
Shift
in
it
the
to
middle?
ES, not do it
Was that
every
5
day
minute
like I
open
was
range
doing with
inside
MES.
of its own Globex
Just
range?
do it
Was
once
it
or
at the
twice a
top of the
week.
range or the bottom of the range? You
And,
put that effort in there
and go way
dig
far out of
through
the
and
money.
find those answers,
So.
you'll really start to trust the 5 minute, or you'll start to trust the open range. We'll put it that way. But without it,
And
just some vague
we're
question
pulling
of, hey,
back
how's
here
that
again.
open range work? You kind of like it? What time frame do you like? You think that 15 minutes any good?
Below the 1 deviation
I think they're
band,
all good.
about halfway to VWAP.
Of course, I spent 6 months
In that
studying
band?
open range in all of its forms, focusing on ETFs and then focusing on equity products to be able to convince myself that it is a tradable strategy and that any of the time frames work. And then
Elbow
after all
saying
of that
sell
work,
finally.
I traded it live in paper, and then I traded it live with real money. So that I could put the textbook work together with real life memories of actually doing the thing and having a really good outcome. Bye-bye financials. All right, so it looked like Walmart was trying to hold above yesterday's highest point, at least the intraday high, but it couldn't sustain it. We're back inside the range. PayPal's back to being almost flat. JP Morgan, they're all giving it back up again. Disney too. Yep, heads up everybody, we got one last econ of the day,
Down
right?
almost
Way better than
tagged
yesterday
VWAP.
where we just kept getting hit with it
We'll see.
all day long. We got one more,
The way B4 looks.
and then we're free and clear.
And Ichimoku.
And you can see that cumulative
Looks like
breadth
we're going to
starting to
head
roll
back
over.
down here.
Right?
So,
We got the sectors looking a little nasty out there. Not, I mean,
look
they're
at
not
these
too
wicks.
bad. We got more green than red compared to yesterday.
on a 5-minute candle, look at those wicks.
But it's
Wow.
it's not just
Big
the
wicks.
sectors; it's which sectors, right? That's
Well-
what really comes into play.
That's nasty. I don't want to trade that.
All right, the SPX re-challenged this earlier pivot. And like we've talked about before, when you have a double bottom like this, you want the new bottom to go deeper than the previous bottom, right? So, and that's exactly what we got here. It didn't go much deeper, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't need to give you 8% down here. But we want to see that bottom going a little lower. Then we start to get that rollover. We don't have any trend quality at all.
We'll see. We're going to bounce off VWAP, or we're going to bust through. I'm thinking we got a choppy day ahead of
You
us.
should have come out by now.
So that's why I really like trading pre-market.
61.7, and the forecast was 67.
It's a whole lot
the
easier
previous
to predict,
was 67.2. So it's out. What we find sometimes is that the numbers will be kind of mixed. So then they got to call up the nerds and ask the nerds, all right, what are we going to do with this thing? You know, and so then there's a little bit of a lag between when the numbers come out and then the results or the effects from those numbers. And we'll give it a few minutes, kind of see if we can get outside of that range. The range is clearly defined, right? So we're good to go there.
Sorry
now it's
about
more
that.
of a point about what we're going to do with it.
Well, I think I'm going to end this right here, even though it's kind of early, but
I really hope we don't get stuck with some wishy-washy halfway.
it's Friday, and I got other things I need to go do. So I've tried out my new strategy here a couple of times today, and it's been successful. So I think we're gonna stick with this one come Sunday night when market reopens and go from there. But maybe I got it another step closer to figure it out. So have a good weekend.